Great to have you back on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So the last time you and I spoke was back in July. Since then, we've seen the price of Bitcoin double. We're trading near record highs right now. You mentioned on the call last week that you are evaluating options to raise more capital to buy more Bitcoin, and actually the stock, at least initially, dropped on that news. How are you valuing Bitcoin at these prices?
Well, I think the last 3 months have delivered a lot of regulatory clarity for Bitcoin. You can see support in Congress and the Senate, and you can see a very progressive administration. And most of the fears around the China crackdown are past us now. And with the Bitcoin mining industry relocating to the U.S., I think it's very bullish outlook for the next 12 months. Yeah, I don't think things could have gone better in the past quarter.
Yeah, when you say bullish outlook, I mean, is there a price at which you would expect Bitcoin to continue to move higher toward that? And I realize it's a very volatile asset class, so it could be choppy, but what is your outlook?
Well, I mean, our view is it'll be volatile because it's plugged into the entire crypto market and it's new, but it's going up forever. I've got a long-term view. I think for the decade, Bitcoin is going to be the strongest, hardest, most technically forward store of value in the economy. So we just have a long-term focus, and we will continue to acquire it quarter by quarter, time to time, either with cash flows or with debt or with equity, just depending upon market circumstances and what looks most accretive to our shareholders.
Yeah, and you just mentioned regulation, the fact that we're starting to get a little bit of clarity, particularly here in the U.S. around that. One of the things that jumped out at me, comments that you made on the conference call last week, is you said that the clarity is coming into the marketplace, that this is not a currency, it's an asset. It's going to be taxed as an asset, which means on sale you would pay capital gain, short or long-term capital gain of sorts, that it's not going to be treated as a medium of exchange or currency in the Western world or most of the world. So how do you see it evolving, and what does that mean for the long-term strategy of MicroStrategy?
I think that the killer use case for Bitcoin is store of value and treasury reserve asset, either for a family or a corporation or a government or an institution or a trust. I think that what we're going to see is the U.S. dollar is going to emerge as the world reserve digital currency. And if we get clarity on stable coins from the administration, that stable coin U.S. dollar can go from 100 billion to $1 trillion to 10 trillion in float. I think that Bitcoin is emerging as the world reserve digital asset, a long-term store of value as an inflation hedge.
Are you in the camp of hyperinflation going to change everything that is happening, as Jack Dorsey tweeted last week? I mean, it certainly kicked off a firestorm on Twitter. How do you see it?
Well, I think that if you're keeping track of the inflation rate of consumer goods, it's 5%. But if you're keeping track of the inflation rate of industrial goods, it's more like 25 to 30%. And if you're looking at the inflation rate of scarce desirable assets, it's north of that. So it all comes down to what you want to buy. I think we have a high inflation rate for scarce desirable things. And if you want to stay ahead of that monetary inflation, then you have to buy the most desirable asset. And of course, I think the most desirable asset in the world is digital property on the Bitcoin network.
Yeah, Michael, it's David Faber. I mean, on that note, given your belief of the evolution of digital currencies, what you just said, are there other opportunities outside of Bitcoin itself that you see, whether they be platforms of some kind, whether they be things that certainly I can't imagine right now, but I would imagine you have, that are going to be opportunities for MicroStrategy as this, again, evolves in the coming years?
Well, I think that if you're an institutional investor or a public company and you're going to hold a crypto asset on your balance sheet, it needs to pass the MicroStrategy test. And the MicroStrategy test is simple. Will it be banned? Will it be copied? Will it be hacked? And we asked that question a year ago, and we asked that question every month. Bitcoin, is not hacked. It's clear that it's property, and there's consensus that it's not going to be banned. And of course, there's 10,000 cryptos, but there's only one Bitcoin. So I think in the entire crypto universe, there's only one crypto asset that passes the MicroStrategy test, and that's Bitcoin.